Good morning, everyone. Am I audible? The voice is clear. Okay, thank you. Yes, in the previous class, as I said, we have completed our discussion on the RM. See, this is the one we have discussed. The module one, which is on the microprocessor and microcontroller. The second one is on the ARM instruction set and ARM programming using assembly language. These modules they have kept it from the textbook one. The textbook one, which is till now what we have studied, the ARM System Developers Guide. Okay, the first two modules belong to this textbook. Third module, fourth and fifth module that will come from the second textbook from Shibu KV, Introduction to Embedded System. The Tata McGraw-Hill is the publisher, and it covers three modules. See, whatever you have studied in the ARM, it is just a basics. It is almost less than a 10%. That much only you have studied or learnt in the ARM. Still, all the operating systems or all the programming languages, what you study in the engineering, it is almost 20 to 25% itself you are going to study. The remaining part you have to study during the development process or whenever you use it. You are going to learn with the available resources. It can be through the internet or uh, online resources, anything that you can use. If I ask me whether this much is enough for the future, for the interviews, it can be enough. But in order to work in the industry on this electronics background, this microcontroller, uh, you have to study in depth about the microcontroller programming. With this much of basics, we'll move on to the next module, module 3, that is on embedded system. See, whatever we learn in the RM, the programming, for what purpose we use in order to program it. Program is nothing but a software. That software, it should go inside some hardware. There should be some system. That system we are going to call it here an embedded system. See, in this textbook, the two chapters are there, chapter 1 and chapter 2. Chapter 1 is this part. The chapter 2 is the next, the components. The chapter 1 is basics on embedded system. Chapter 2 is all the components of the embedded system. Okay. These are the two things that we are going to study. Okay. Now I'll close the syllabus. Now I'll start with the embedded. Finally, what is an embedded system is it consists that system, it consists of hardware is there and also software is there, and it is going to perform some specific action. Because of that reason itself, we have designed that system. That is the meaning of an embedded system. And the functionality of that embedded system is always unique. No two different systems will do the same functionality. No two different embedded system will do the same functionality. If one system, one embedded system, if it is already there, if it's doing some task, some addition operation, some mathematical operation, or some digital signal processing operation, if it is doing, we are not going to design the same system with some other components. Every embedded system, it will be unique for some specific function itself. We are going to design that embedded system always contains both the hardware and the software. Software, we use another word called firmware. Okay, that is the meaning of an embedded system. Okay, whenever uh, what was the reason of the evolution of embedded system, or why the embedded system has originated? Suddenly, it has not come to our mind to develop an embedded system. For the user, they have started with a normal computing, general computing system itself. As and when they're using the computing system, they have end up with some problems. What are the problems? The power problem, memory problem, computational problems. All these problems has arisen to perform their task, and also the cost problem also there. Because of these special requirements, they have thought of to develop a new system that will perform only that particular function. One system, I want it to be do only the digital signal processing. It has to do only that digital signal processing. Okay, for that we will let us design one system. How much, what are the requirements, hardware requirements and software requirements? Okay, we list it, and based on that we'll design the system. We don't want this general computing system which performs all the task. It is not meeting our requirements. What we'll design another, a special computer system which will reads our requirements. Initially, when they have started computing, there was only one computing system. Later on, because of the user requirements, the computing requirements, there is an evolution of, or there is an origin of the embedded system, or embedded system come into the picture. Embedded system ಬರಕ್ ಅದೇ ಕಾರಣ. ಫಸ್ಟಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟಿಂಗ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ಸ್ ಒಂದೇ ಇದ್ದದ್ದು. ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಸೇರ್ತಾ ಹೋದಾಗ ಪವರ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇದೆ, ಮೆಮೊರಿ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇದೆ, ಓಕೆ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತಾ, ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಬೇಡ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಜನರಲ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ಸ್ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅದೇ ತರ ಒಂದ್ ಸಪರೇಟ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಎಂಬೆಡೆಡ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೆದ್ರು. ವಾಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ದ ಮೇನ್ ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ದೀಸ್ ಟು? ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ನಾವು ನೋಡೋ ಜನರಲ್ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟಿಂಗ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ಗೂ ಎಂಬೆಡೆಡ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ಗೂ ಏನ್ ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸ್? What can be the difference? It performs all the tasks, general purpose task. This embedded system will perform specific task. Both the things consist of the hardware and the software. Both will have some set of applications, but here you have any variety of applications you can run. General purpose computing system. In my computer, I can install any operating system, any of the softwares. ಯಾವ್ದು ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ವೇರ್ ನನ್ನ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ವಿಂಡೋಸ್ 10 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಾಲ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು, ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಜನರಲ್ ಪರ್ಪಸ್ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟಿಂಗ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್. ಬಟ್ ಎಂಬೆಡೆಡ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್, ನಿಮ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಮೈಕ್ರೋವೇವ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋಂತ ಒಂದು ಮೈಕ್ರೋವೇವ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿರೋ ಮೈಕ್ರೋ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ್ದಾರ ಒಂದು ಆಪರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಾಲ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಟ್ರೈ ಮಾಡಿ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಯಾವ್ದಾರ ಒಂದು ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ವೇರ್ ಟ್ರೈ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಹೋಗಿ, ವಾಟ್ಸ್ಆಪ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಾಲ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಯಾವ್ದಾರ ಬ್ರೌಸರ್ ರನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನೋಡಿ, it is not at all possible. Only specific set of application is supported in the embedded system. Okay, and always that system will contains the general purpose operating system. Here, very specific operating system which performs only limited number of tasks. Okay, and also I can program it in my system. ಈ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವ್ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ನಾನು ಯಾವ್ದಾರ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ನ ಡಿಸೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಅದನ್ನು ಮತ್ತೆ ಎಡಿಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. As an end user, I can do all these things. Reinstall the operating system. I can remove the any application, uninstall ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಪ್ಯಾನಲ್ ಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಮತ್ತೊಂದನ್ನ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಾಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. All these things, it is not at all possible. Once it is been programmed in that software, it is not altered by the end user. You should not do it. That is not possible. That is in the embedded system. Okay, and also the performance wise, you cannot say that this is faster and that is slower. It is all based on the application specific requirements. It is always based on the requirements. You can say which is faster. You cannot say the general purpose computing system is faster and embedded system is slower. It is all based on the requirements. And but whenever you say in respect to the time, response time, that requirements, it is not time critical. You cannot expect within the time. This one, the general purpose computing system, ಈ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ಸ್ ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ರಿಯಲ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದನ್ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಬಟ್ ದಿಸ್ ಎಂಬೆಡೆಡ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ the response in a real time. It is very critical. In the aeroplanes, the simulators where they use it, if it is not going to respond in a time, it is going to crash, or some disaster it is going to happen at the end. That is why the embedded systems are designed. And this is This is what the main difference between this general purpose computing system and embedded. Okay, uh, this can be also an important question. Differences. Okay, when it has origin, what is the history of an embedded system? When it has started, it's all started in the 1960s. In 1958 and 63, there was the origin of semiconductor. The IC was introduced. Later on, it has evolved, which are the microcontrollers and microprocessor. It has started from 1958. Then it has started. If I give you 10 embedded system, if I give you 10 embedded system, how we are going to classify those embedded systems? There are different categories. In different ways you can classify the embedded systems. One can be generation. You say that we are 2020 to the 21st century. We are 10th generation. We are using Windows 10, 10th generation, i7, i10. In that way we talk, right? In that way we say, based on the generation, we classify the embedded system. First generation embedded system, second generation, third generation, or based upon the complexity, whether it is small scale, medium scale, large scale, or deterministic behavior. Deterministic means how, whether it is a hard or soft, or one more is based on triggering. We'll see one by one. What is this generation? Which embedded system, for which embedded system you are going to call it as first generation? See, the first generation embedded systems, the first generation embedded system, if you check the bits of the microcontroller or the microprocessor, what is the bit supported? 8 bit, 4 bit, 16 bit. See, this my operating system. See, my operating system, it is of 64 bit operating system. See here, 64 bit operating system, and 64, the processor it supports also 64. Okay, you see, 64 bit operating system now, and microcontroller it supports 64. In the first generation, the microcontroller and the microprocessor bits are 8 bit or 4 bit microcontroller. It's an 8 bit microprocessor. The microprocessor number was 8085, and the microcontroller they have designed was Z80, which is called as a microcontroller. That is a name, which is a 4 bit. An embedded system which is built using 8 bit microprocessor or 4 bit microcontroller, that we call it as first generation systems. ನೀವು ಯಾವ್ದಾರ ಎಂಬೆಡೆಡ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ನಾನು ಕ್ಲಾಸಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನೀವ್ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅದ್ರೊಳಗಡೆ ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಮೈಕ್ರೋ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲರ್ ಯಾವ್ದಿದೆ ಅಂತ ನೋಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಮೈಕ್ರೋ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಸರ್ ಯಾವ್ದಿದೆ ಅಂತ ನೋಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಇಫ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಅನ್ 8 bit ಮೈಕ್ರೋ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಸರ್ 8085 ಆರ್ 4 bit ಮೈಕ್ರೋ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲರ್ಸ್, ಇಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ದಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಜನರೇಷನ್. ಆ ತರ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ, ಯಾವ ಎಂಬೆಡೆಡ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಮೋಟಾರ್ಸ್, ಹಳೆಗಾಲ ಸ್ಟೆಪ್ಪರ್ ಮೋಟಾರ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. In the stepper motors they use this kind of microcontrollers. Now they have updated, but long back embedded systems were there. They used to use 4 bit microcontrollers to rotate the stepper motor, and also digital telephone keypads. In the keypads you are going to enter some numbers, right? That will be processed in the background by the microcontroller. All these things, they are the 4 bit microcontroller. That is called as a first generation. Then advancement, second generation systems, what we can expect? That embedded system should be built on, it should be a 16 bit microprocessor. It should be a 16 bit microprocessor, or the 8 bit or a 16 bit microcontroller. And when you compare the instruction set, it has evolved. More number of instruction set was supported compared to the first generation. That is why we say it is complex. Where we see these type of embedded systems? See, in the industries, there will be a automatic data acquisition systems will be there. What is that data acquisition system means? So many hardware devices will be there which records automatically. It is going to record the temperature of the device, how much pressure is there inside the any component, what is the level of the water or energy level. So many things it is going to automatically record based on the time. For every 5 seconds it will record so much of data in the industry. ಕಂಪ್ನಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಆಟೋಮೆಟಿಕ್ ಆಗಿ ಟೆಂಪರೇಚರ್ ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ ಒಂದು ಫನಲ್ ಯಾವ್ದೋ ಒಂದು ರೆಡಿ ಆಗ್ತಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಡಿಸೈನ್ ಆಗ್ತಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಟೆಂಪರೇಚರ್ ಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂದ್ ಕಡೆ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಆಗಿ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಪೀರಿಯಾಡಿಕಲಿ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಎವ್ರಿ ಹಾಫ್ ಅನ್ ಅವರ್, every 10 minutes it is going to store that automatically. It is going to record there in the background. You have an embedded system which is built of 8-bit or 16-bit microcontrollers. ಅವನ್ನ ನೀವು ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಜನರೇಷನ್ embedded systems anta ಕರೀತಾರೆ. Then which is called as a third generation. As embedded system evolved, they have used the more number of bits microcontroller. See, my question is to everyone, what we are going to get if we increase the number of bits in the microcontroller or microprocessor? 8 bit ಬಿಟ್ಟು 16 bit ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಏನ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ, 16 bit ಬಿಟ್ಟು 32 ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಎಂಬೆಡೆಡ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್? ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅನ್ ಅಡ್ವಾಂಟೇಜ್? What is an advantage of using 16-bit or 32-bit compared to the 4-bit and 8-bit microprocessor or microcontroller? Anyone? Pavana? Pavana, are you there? Pavana, idira? Pavana? See, if you don't reply, I assume that you are not in the meeting and I am going to remove you from the meeting. Are you there, Pavana? Ah, yes. Yes, the question is, what is the advantage of using 16-bit or 32-bit compared to the 8-bit or 4-bit? You can unmute yourself and answer. ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ? Pavana KP, I'm talking to you itself. Pavana, are you there? Pavana? Shubhashri? Shubhashri? Okay, good. Number of cycles will not. No. See, the simple answer is the performance increases. Yes, sir. how you can say the performance is increases? Uh, 16 bits and 32 bits will give faster speed than the 8 bits. Uh, the correct answer should be uh, Parvati and Shubha. I got the answer. See, the more data, uh, and Prajwal also. Yes, more data can be accessed at a time. You can send 16 bit at a time. You can read 16 bit at a time. Send and also receive. 32 ಬಿಟ್ಸ್ ನ ಕಳಿಸಬಹುದು ಡೇಟಾಬೇಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ 32 ಬಿಟ್ಸ್ ನ ರಿಸೀವ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು 16 ಬಿಟ್ ನ ಕಳಿಸಬಹುದು 16 ಬಿಟ್ ನ ರಿಸೀವ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು 16 ಬಿಟ್ ಅಡ್ರೆಸ್ ಕಳಿಸಬಹುದು 16 ಬಿಟ್ ಅಡ್ರೆಸ್ ರಿಸೀವ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಸಿನ್ಸ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಡೂ ಲೈಕ್ ದಿಸ್ more and more bits if you send you can perform the your task very fast. Yes, all the answers are correct, but more accurate is with respect to the data you have to speak. More data can be accessed at a time. That is the answer. Good. See, please interact. If you don't interact, then the subject will also be boring, and this faculty will also be boring. That is me. ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಇವರು ಅನ್ನೋದೇ ಒಂದು ಬೋರ್ ಅನ್ಸ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ ಇವ್ರು ಯಾಕೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಲ್ಲ. Yes, the third generation they have uh, used the 32-bit microprocessor and 16-bit microcontrollers. When they use the why they have went into 32-bit microprocessors, the processing as and when we go, our requirements will increase. Whenever requirements will increase, like we have to process the digital signals, we have to process the digital signal. If you want to process the digital signal, then we require more performance. That is why 32-bit microprocessors are required. Therefore, special ICs will come into picture. More and more instruction set has improved. More and more instructions are being added to the instruction set to perform the applications like digital signal processing. Our one more requirements, we want to develop the real-time operating system which is required by the market. Networking is come into picture. Because of all these reasons, we require 32-bit microprocessors or 16-bit microcontrollers, that we call it as the third generation embedded systems. When it comes to the fourth generation, it is all the smartphone devices. Here you want a real-time embedded operating system, and whatever the microcontrollers or the microprocessors what we use in the smart devices now, which we call it as a fourth generation, where we are expecting very high performance. Okay, for that reason itself we are using multi-power processors that will help you to get the high performance. Now in my laptop is also 2.5. What is the speed of my processor? If you check the speed of the processor, it is 2.60 gigahertz. And if you check in my mobile also, it is almost near to 2 gigahertz, I think, speed of the processor. In the desktop system and also in my mobile also, it is almost the same. You are very near to it. That is why we went into fourth generation. Because so much of processing, so much of games we are going to play in the mobiles, then you require very high configuration processors. For that reason, microprocessor and microcontroller has evolved. They are called as fourth generation, which can be the fifth generation or the next generation, as and when the market requires, or as a users we require based on our requirements. If they go on designing new requirements which will meet the growing demands in the market, that we can call it as a next fifth generation or sixth generation. Finally, the performance we are going to expect a very good performance. That will be based on the generation. The same thing, I don't speak in terms of generation. I speak in terms of the size of the software or some other factors we follow. That is why small scale, medium scale, and large scale embedded system. Very small scale is a very simple in the toys where the child play. In that also there may be a small microcontroller or the processor will be there in the background, which uses very less power, which consumes only the plus 5 volts or 10 volts from the battery. Okay, that we call it as a small scale embedded system. In the background there is an hardware. It is not necessary you should have always an operating system with that. Okay, in order to do some movement, some electronic devices is enough. That we are going to call it as a, a small scale, where the performance, it is not a main factor in that. And in the small scale, performance is not a factor at all. It is not time critical also. Small scale embedded systems, sometimes it may contain or it may not. If it is not, operating system is not there also, then also it is considered as the small scale. Even if the operating system is there, but time, it is not time critical. Then one more case, medium scale. Which embedded systems we are going to call it as a medium scale? Just now in the second generation we have talked about, or in the third generation, 16 bit or 32-bit microprocessor or controller which performs digital signal processing, signal processors, that we are going to call, or as a medium scale, where when you check the requirements, which is somewhat complex compared to the previous uh, the the simple or the small scale embedded systems. But in this medium scale, 100% there should be some an operating system. Either it can be a real time. Real time means there is no compromise of time. Real time operating system, or it can be a general purpose operating system. Okay, but in the medium scale, operating system will be there. Complexity is not huge, but it is more complex than the small scale. But the larger scale is that we talk about fourth generation, 32-bit or 64-bit processor, where we require high performance. It's all memory management, everything which comes under this category. Here it is highly complex. Hardware and software requirements are there. Finally, large scale is nothing but high performance, what we are expecting from the applications. That category we are going to call it as a large scale embedded system, which demands very high performance. There is one more category based on the deterministic behavior. Deterministic behavior means whether that system will give you incorrect results. Even though if it gives incorrect results, whether we are going to accept it. That deterministic behavior, there are two types, deterministic and non-deterministic. That is an application execution behavior. Whether you can determine what it is going to give next, that is deterministic. If you are not able to identify, it is non-deterministic. Usually these systems we are going to call it as real-time embedded systems. In that we are going to classify into two types, hard real-time and soft real-time. See, in the air traffic control or in the medical business or medical systems where we give the softwares, right? In that, If the operation is incorrect, we are not going to accept. There you should not give, it should not give any incorrect results. And also it is the time constraint. In the air traffic and in the medical system, there is no compromise of the time and also the result. But in the soft real time, it is not so hard, even though if it gives the wrong results, but it is not going to affect the application. This multimedia transmission and reception or the computer games, it is going to recover automatically. These kind of systems, that we are going to call it as soft real time. There is a specified time requirement will be there. You should not say that soft real time there is no time constraint. If it is not a time constraint, then you should not call it as real time. Time constraint ಅನ್ನೋದು ಇದ್ದೇ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ ರಿಯಲ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲೂ, but it is not going to affect the working of the system. But if you compromise in the hard real time system about the time, it is going to it will create a disaster at the end if you compromise with the time and also with the result in the hard real time. These are the two types which based on the deterministic. One more, this triggering is there. Triggering is nothing but based on the events or the time, the systems is going to react. The reactive systems, whether it will be based upon some event occurs, then that system will trigger, or it is going to respond, or based on the time, after some 20 minutes it has to give some result, or if some event occurs in the background, then the system is going to react. These type of a category we are going to call it as classification based upon triggering. The information in the textbook, I think it is not there on deterministic and triggering. Finally, these embedded systems, where we use it, this you already know. In the cameras we use, in the television, DVD players, air conditioners, in the fire alarms it is there. In the industries, the anti-braking, anti-lock braking systems, engine controls, in normally in the telephone, cellular telephone switches, multimedia applications, even in the printers, scanners, in your modem, router, switches, what we use for internet, where we use CROs in the healthcare industries in order to perform ECGs. Which one? CT scan. There also in the background there will be a microcontrollers, and in the instruments, digital multimeters. In the lab which you have seen the CROs, in the AD lab where you have seen the CROs, there is a microcontroller inside this. In the this machines which the ATMs, automated teller machines, the currency counters, all these things in the background, the card readers, everywhere you have these embedded systems. All those embedded systems, they have some specific reason to design those systems. These are all the different areas where we use these embedded systems in the networking, in the computer peripherals, healthcare, measurement, banking, card readers. Finally, for what reasons we use this embedded system? There should be some reason. For that, we have done a category of that. Some of the devices, it will perform only data collection, storage, or some representation. Or some of the embedded system is perform the communication between the sender and receiver. Some of the embedded system will process the signals. Some of the embedded system is going to monitor. It can be a human beings or the non-human beings, or some controlling devices, or some user interfaces. These are the reasons of designing the embedded system, which is an example for data collection, storage, or representation. One example of data collection, an embedded system. Data collect ಮಾಡುವಂತಹ ಒಂದು embedded system. Okay. Yes, one of you have answered weather station. No. What is this case studies? It is not a correct answer. Yes, good. The answer will be digital camera. Radhika has answered. Good. Weather station. Yes, it can be any embedded system which collects the data. In the industry, so many devices are there for data collection. One, see the same example which I have taken, this digital camera, where it collects the information, what we are going to capture. Whatever we the frame it is going to capture, with that some metadata also it is going to capture. That data can be either in the analog or the digital. Okay. Even you can store the data in that device, camera. Or the latest the devices where you can also send also, if it is Bluetooth separate enabled, even then you can send the data also, or you can you can do some processing inside that, you can delete instantly, or you can rename the images. So many things you can do, so much of operations you can do in those devices. That is the purpose of this embedded system, in order to collect the data, or to store the data, or to change the representation of the data. Which is an example for data communication. Next category, data communication. Data communicate ಮಾಡುವಂತಹ embedded system. Good. No. You should not be very specific to the a software. Say this one, email, it is a software. That should control. Computer. That's very simple, that a network devices, wireless network routers, which contains the microcontroller inside that. Whenever the data comes, it is going to route it to the specific specific location. There will be a dedicated data transmission will be there in this. Then we call it as an embedded system. There is a hardware. Inside that there is a software. You should not say the computer. See, in this computer, you can do any work. It is a general purpose. It is not designed for some specific purpose. ಈಗ ನಾನು ಯಾವ್ದು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ವಿಂಡೋಸ್ 10, ಇದು ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕ್ ಪರ್ಪಸ್ಗೋಸ್ಕರ ಡಿಸೈನ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋದಲ್ಲ. General purpose operating system. You can install any of the application. Then you cannot say it as an embedded system. Data communication, that's why you should not say computer. Computer is wrong. It can be the transmission, it can be wired or wireless medium. That is why one good example for the data communication is this wireless network routers. Even the switches are there, hubs are there, where we perform the data communication. which transmits the data. Even in the USB, you will perform that. The next one is digital signal processing. See, the devices which will help you for to hear, the digital hearing aid, which will helpful for that device. I think you have seen. See, this the example what we are seeing that is from the Siemens. That will help you for hearing. Okay, that what it performs, it performs the data. It is going to process the analog signals. It is going to process the analog signals. That is why we call it as signal processing, data signal processing. Okay, there are so many devices are there which process the image itself, or it is going to process the video which is required for some other task. Okay, that is one example of signal processing, which can be an example for monitoring. ಮಾನಿಟರಿಂಗಿಗೆ ಯಾವ್ದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್? ಮಾನಿಟರಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರುವಂತಹ ಎಂಬೆಡೆಡ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್. ಮಾನಿಟರ್ try once. Which are the embedded systems which performs monitoring? Monitoring means continuously it is going to record the data. Periodically it is going to record the data. Continuously it is going to observe something. Which are those devices? Okay, street cameras that should monitor. CCTVs, okay. Okay, the latest as and when the smartphones has improved, even they have also, yes, good ECGs. Yes, the patient monitoring system, what you have seen in the one example is this one, the patient monitoring system, PMS. This is what we have seen in the what hospitals, where it shows you the blood pressure of the human, what is the pulse rate, and also some ECG. Everything it is going to show that. It is going to monitor the heartbeat. Everything it will be going to display in that monitor. These type of systems, we are going to call it as an monitoring embedded systems. If you want to monitor some of the things, you are going to design one embedded system. Even in the lab, what you have seen in the CROs or the multimeters, where you check the resistance, that we are going to call it as a monitor. The next, controlling embedded devices. Next category, you will control something, some parameters it is going to control, embedded system. ಏನೋ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಇರೋ ಒಂದು ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೀಟರ್ ನ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರುತ್ತೆ ಎಂಬೆಡೆಡ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್. ಅದು ಯಾವ್ದು ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್? Which is the device which controls the room temperature? Good, Sneha. You got the answer. Sneha HN. Yes, the simple example is this air conditioner, which controls the temperature of the room. Okay, and so many sensors are there inside that is going to control what it contains inside. There will be a sensor, some actuators will be there, and that is going to capture the outside parameters. Based on that, it is going to change. If it is too hot, it is going to reduce the temperature. If it is too cold, it will increase the temperature. Automatically it will going to perform the these jobs, where it controls some parameters or the functionalities that we are going to call it as controlling this control category of embedded systems. In the same way, there are so many specific user interfaces, application specific user interfaces. Application specific user interface is this one, mobile phone, where you have seen so much of user interface. If you require that also, you will go for this embedded system. Application specific user interface, if it is required, then you will go for the embedded systems. In mobile phone, the user interface is provided with keypad, LCD model, speaker will be there, vibration alert. What else is not there in the mobile now? Everything is there. If that is your specific requirement, then you will go for this embedded system. Because of these many reasons, it can be for monitoring, it can be for controlling, it can be for user interface or data storage or data representation or data collection or data in order to communicate. Because of these many reasons, you are going to design the embedded system. Okay. What are all the components will be there inside this embedded system, or one a typical embedded system that we will discuss in the next class. Okay. Now you can send your attendance. If you have any doubts, you can ask, or else you can exit.